Year talent acquisition and workforce development leader who has dedicated his career to helping service members and veterans find meaningful civilian employment. Currently serves as a talent acquisition administrator with the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, where he partners with leadership to build talent pipelines, improve hiring processes, and increase veteran outreach. Before that, he led large-scale military recruiting operations for organizations like CSX, Wyotech, AMVETS, and others, expanding skilled participation, mentoring recruiters, and helping thousands of transitioning service members navigate their next chapter. He also spent 16 years in the Army and co-hosted a national radio program supporting the military and veteran community. He knows transition from all the angles: military, employer, education, and community. And today he's here to share what he's learned and how veterans can position themselves in the job market today. Welcome, sir. Did I manage to get it all as promised?
Everything perfect. Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you. Sounds a little
Sure.
exhausting.
I take one long, deep-winded breath and go.
Yeah. Yeah. Perfect.
Hey, I'll get you started. So what motivated you to kind of get out of the Army and do the transition thing? You were getting pretty close there.
Well, I actually, I was in recruiting command in my gov car, and I got hit by a dump truck and medically retired. I was on, yeah, I loved recruiting. It was fantastic. It was something I enjoyed. But it just didn't work out. I couldn't finish the rest of the time. I was injured my neck pretty bad and back. So
Damn.
anyway, started that led me to joining Wyotech and starting a career in corporate America.
So how'd you I mean, yours was obviously an abrupt one, no planning for that. So how bad did that screw things up for you with oh shit, the uniform's off and now I gotta figure it out?
Yeah, that's very true. So I've actually I was since my career before the military was logistics. So I thought I'd just follow that. I loved recruiting, but I missed it. So I actually was trying to get a job with Sears. General Pagonis from the first Gulf War, he had taken over the Sears catalog, believe it or not. He was the three-star general that led the logistics effort. And so I had planned on joining that. The issue was my wife wasn't happy about moving to Mississippi where the job was. So she actually sent my resume to the school called Wyotech. And so I went out to Laramie, Wyoming, because I'd truly never been to Wyoming before. So I went out there, really enjoyed the staff, enjoyed the campus, and decided to accept the job with them and start recruiting with the school. Grew with that organization. I was there 13 years, grew to vice president of admissions for military. I had 30 recruiters, 3 regional directors, and we were by every single base in the United States. A very successful recruiting platform to get veterans into skilled job like diesel mechanics or auto mechanics, street rod building, high performance engine building. Still believe in Wyotech. They are, in my opinion, the best auto diesel school. But if you're a person that loves to, learn how to custom build or custom paint, this is the school that you really want to attend, because they're the best.
Yeah, it's their ball of wax. They're good at it.
Absolutely. Yeah. So the issue back around 2012, our corporate partner, the people that owned Wyotech, didn't see eye to eye with the federal government. And so they went after the bigger company, the corporate company. And of course, when you try to take Uncle Sam on, you lose, and they did. And so I survived 13 layoffs in 2015. I finally received mine. But then that opened up a lot more doors. I went to the nonprofit world, worked for a VSO, AMVETS, and got to know how Washington, D.C. works with veteran service organizations. Big eye opener there. You see the good, but you also see how dirty that industry is on the VSO side. Then, from there, I started my own consulting company. I went out and worked with different corporations and educational institutions. The largest contract I signed was with McKesson Corporation, which is, if you're a logistician or in medical supplies, this is just a fantastic organization to work for. It's number 5 on the Fortune 500. McKesson Corporation. I tried to stay there after my contract. They just didn't have a place for me. I just think the role of that company, that organization. So if you have So if you see that anywhere, if you see, and if there's a job interested there, try to apply to get in there. Just a wonderful organization. After that, in 2019, I thought I'd try some entrepreneurship and continue that. So I bought a restaurant bar here locally. Thought that was going to be my retirement gig. Of course, in 2020, COVID hit. It's probably the worst thing you could do is own a restaurant at that point.
Yeah.
So put that up for sale, and at the end of 2020, was able to sell that in 2021. That again, a great experience. That little restaurant is a pizza place. It was in Julington Creek here up in Fruit Cove, Florida, where I live, and that community had just wrapped their arms around us and wouldn't let us fail. They supported us all the way through COVID. Done just a tremendous job keeping us open. We had a great relationship with the community, and able to sell that. Then I went to work for CSX Railroad. Good experience there, understanding the inner workings of the railroad, understand the terms and what it takes to run the railroad, make sure things get from sea to sea, across the United States, and understand the manager of train operations role. This is what I recruited for, was that management role, which, man, those guys, they do unbelievable work for the railroad. Train master, they were called at one time, manager of train operations, what CSX calls them. But they are just fantastic. And then at that point, I had met somebody, and they were like, "Hey, why don't you come over to JSO and help us, recruit some police and share, and other roles." And I'll tell you, I have never felt more at home than I do at the sheriff's office than when I left the military. It's very paramilitary. The culture is the exact same way. Sense of humor, how, military, we can have some dark. Yes. So that is the same. I'm telling you, it is just it's just the best fit I've ever had since leaving. Besides my military team, where we could be, like we are, but it's a great place. I really love what I'm doing right now, and I'm probably 3 to 5 years out from retirement, and so this is home until I decide to retire. I love what I work for. I love the mission of the sheriff's office. I've never recruited for hometown. Everywhere I recruited, you had to go somewhere else. You had to relocate to take the job. So this is kind of interesting for me, and a place where I can make an impact on where I'm going to retire.
Yeah, with those opportunities coming up, and this leads back to something you and I were chatting about before this. I mean, you had to be ready, obviously. I mean, you probably had some moments where it was like, I didn't realize this was a job interview. And can you talk to me about that?
Yeah, so I was a director of admissions down at Daytona campus for our at the time, it was our motorcycle maintenance school. So I was director of admissions down there, and our CEO had came in. And this was around 2005, 2006, where military recruiting and veteran recruiting wasn't, a lot of companies still didn't have it. A lot of companies weren't reaching out to veterans at the time. And so this guy named Stranstrieski, he said, "Hey, you think it would be a good idea to recruit veterans?" He said, "My dad and family, they were all veterans, and I kind of have a soft spot for them. You think it'd be a good idea?" And I said, "Yeah, I think it's a fantastic idea. I think there's a lot of veterans that are coming out, and I think they'd be interested in, learning street rod building, learning mechanic diesel, and they got that kind of skill anyway in the military. So there's probably a target audience, probably people that'd be interested in it." So he just said, "Hey, put a one pager together and send it to me." And so just off that conversation, I mean, just a 30-second conversation I had when he was just walking by my office and just stopped, led to, 6 months later, promoted regional director. And then about 2 years later, promoted to VP after things start taking effect and the success they seen with military recruiting. It was, you had to be fast. You had to, it's that elevator pitch that I think everybody talks about, he was ready for it. He wanted to know why veterans were so important to recruit, or would they be successful at the school. So absolutely went into it. He liked the idea. We launched it, and we grew pretty quick because they seen the success, and they seen we needed to. We didn't have the bandwidth once we started recruiting. The bases wanted to stay at transition offices because they seen the success of placing soldiers in school, and then our job, our placement, WyoTech's placement rates were fantastic. So after they get trained, you're talking over 90% placement for for graduating students. And once that's the other thing, then what that does when you have large corporations like Peterbilt and the other trucking agencies or trucking companies looking for diesel mechanics uh, or big motorcycle companies like Harley Davidson wanting to hire veterans, they could come right to Wyotek or other schools at that point and then hire them right there. So yeah, it became our placement rates grew with veterans. I think our diesel placement rate when I finally left was 100% with veterans. So yeah, it was a big deal for veterans to get involved and trained, and then I think the industry's still like that, for veterans. By the way, for veterans.
Yeah, so I imagine you're getting used to getting elevator pitches. You want to see if you can hear a couple here?
Yeah. Any volunteers?
If there's somebody ready with their elevator pitch, this is how jobs can come sometimes.
I don't see names. I see Tim Harrison. That's the first name I see.
Oh, Tim, you're on the spot, brother. Let's go for it.
I wasn't even ready. I'm just sitting here kind of just listening.
Yeah, that's when I was talking to Frank, I was listening to him and he just got me like that. Okay, Chris. Yeah.
Hey, good morning, Les. My name is Chris. As you can tell by the hand raise, I ain't ever scared of any opportunity that's presented to me.
Right
I like to consider myself a jack of all trades, master of nothing, legitimately. I know people say that all the time. I've been fortunate of 20 years of Air Force service. Air Force put me in so many different various situations that my breadth of experience is pretty significant. I'm a certified project management professional, have a master's degree, bachelor's, and 3 associates. Also CompTIA Security Plus, so a lot of healthcare and IT experience, and just looking forward to see if there's any opportunities that might be available and getting to know you, and if not, just build a relationship potentially for some mentorship as I enter the civilian workforce. So I appreciate your time.
So Chris, can I ask you a question?
Absolutely.
Now, this is an interview question that you may get or may not get. Okay, but one of the questions that I always hear that veterans stumble on is, what are you just told me you just went through all your qualifications, and so what do you think your strength and what do you think your weaknesses would be or challenges would be coming into the
Absolutely.
organization?
Yes, sir. I appreciate that. My biggest strength is relationships, my ability to build relationships with people and work well in team dynamics and deal with various types of challenges. My biggest weakness is I don't know if you're familiar with the CARE model. I'm a very creative person, so I'm a big idea guy. I'm very into processes, and I'm always coming up with ways to kind of solve those problems. But where I struggle sometimes is I need help sometimes getting it across the finish line. And so I can have those ideas, but I need people sometimes to help me get it there. And I would say that's something that I've had to work on throughout my time.
When you said challenges getting across the finish line, what do you mean?
Yeah, just have somebody help refine the idea because there are always blind spots when you encounter problems that you might not know and see. And so I really enjoy, working with people that kind of challenge my mindset so that I might see some of those blind spots to be able to get it to the best finished product that I can get it to.
Okay, so this is where just can I critique you for a second?
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
Okay, so this is where when you say you're a project manager, this is where we get in a little bit of trouble. As a project manager, when you are on projects and when you're on teams, and this is where you work out all those blind spots. This is where you work out all those things. So it's not so much a weakness for you, just that when you say, hey, I am a project manager. Project managers, especially experienced project managers, won't say they need help crossing the finish line. You've already had those conversations. Those things have already been discussed, and those things have already been applied. So a very safe thing to do, and this is for everybody. When you're talking weaknesses, say communication. Communication is very safe because if you read every corporation, everybody, when they say weaknesses, well, I'm working on my communication. Maybe I don't send that email out that I should, or I don't make that second phone call as I should. That's a very safe because every organization, when at the end of the year when they do their surveys, it's always, I wish they would communicate more. You can never communicate enough in an organization. So that is something that I learned in corporate America. It's like, that's a very safe thing, and it won't hold anything against you. Then you can always, if it is like, well, describe, you don't communicate enough. Well, I do communicate enough, or maybe I didn't get that full understanding where I sent that second or third or fourth phone call, or second or third or fourth email, or maybe I missed one or two people. It's a very safe thing to say. And I don't want you to get in trouble with saying you're a project manager and then saying, well, I can't get it across the finish line, because that's going to throw up a lot of red flags on that project manager role. That means
Yeah, probably wasn't the best choice of words.
no, but hey, you know what? This is learning, right? These are learning. This is what I'm just sharing my experiences with you, being on so many projects and everything that I've been on. I mean, I've rebuilt. I have totally went in and rebuilt the way people recruit. It's a CSX to recruit managers. When I got there, it was 6 months to hire one manager. When I left, it was 56 days. And I believe it or not, I had to fight the HR department, the HR business partners, all the way through that process, because they were so ingrained at the way they did their business. They thought it took more interviews than they really needed to hire somebody, that one person, where it really don't. And the managers, uh, when you describe to the manager, especially when we're working with the hiring managers, for me, when I told them what I was doing and I was going to shorten it, they need help in the field and they can't wait 6 months. So when I got them on the phone, then that's kind of eliminated their what they were up against, or as they didn't like my process, because it was their process. They had ownership of it, and they couldn't see past their own ownership of it. So it is important that you just get that across, that it's not a weakness. You just haven't been there enough. So and always communicate. Maybe go around, like I went around them so I could get the hiring managers on my side.
May I ask you a follow-up question, Les?
Sure, please, yeah.
Yeah, so in terms of weakness, one of the things, in reality that I feel like probably a lot of us may feel at this point in time in our career and transition is the fact that the military has brainwashed me for 20 years to think a certain way. And so if I was to say that I had a weakness, like a real legitimate weakness, I would say that it's learning the corporate mindset, and trying to take away some of the things that the military taught me that translates really well, and trying to do away with some of those things that don't translate very well. And
Yeah.
what advice would you have to somebody that's transitioning currently on how to best combat that?
Yeah, that's a real reality, and there's going to be people out there, and you just got to answer that question as they come up. Okay, I'm not dodging the question. I had a recruiter manager at CSX. They wouldn't hire a military recruiter because they didn't think they could recruit civilians. They didn't think when you're talking, when I was managing, I had to start every quarter. I started 30 new managers. Okay. And it's a lot less of a process to hire 30 managers than it is to get 3 people into the Army. And so to get them past that mindset, this is what I had to do. And so myself and Brian Morgan, who was the military recruiter over there, we had to sit with the manager and just kind of educate her on how dumb of a statement that really was. I still don't think we got past it. So, but you're going to have those prejudices. And so you just have to be able to interview, and whatever job you apply for, okay, relate it up to your skill set that you have in the military as much as you can. Okay, like are you trying to get, like when you get the IT, are you trying to get into IT in the civilian world?
Actually, personally, I really enjoy construction, which is now I did most of that on my own time while I was in the military, and so I would love to get into some sort of project management and construction. I'm looking to become a general contractor someday as well and start my own business, and
Yeah,
so that's what I'm looking to do.
fantastic. That entrepreneurial spirit, right? We all have it in the military. We want to do those kind of things. So it's hard work, but there's nothing better than working for yourself. I mean, sometimes I get a little bored, and so I've actually started another business, and it's probably I'll grow it when I'm retired, but I'm a beekeeper now, and so I'm just having fun learning about being a beekeeper, learning about bees and hives, and it's constant. So I think once you understand and they love working for yourself, there's nothing better than it. And so I think once you get your general contractor license, I think you will just see the freedom of that. I think you'll love it.
I just bought local honey yesterday, actually, from a bee
Yeah,
farmer. So it's a
I'll
great
tell.
thing.
Yeah, it's I mean,
Helps
it's,
allergies too.
what's that?
Helps with allergies too locally.
Yeah. Oh, there's a ton of things that you can get the honey. It's very good. And it's constant. It's a constant, you're constantly learning. So I absolutely love that. Um, so I started off with 2 hives. Last year I lost all the hives because there was something that went across the United States, some kind of disease, which nobody can answer. So I bought 2 more this year. Now I have 5. Boston Queen split the hives. Now I got 5. I'll probably have 7 by March. So you're just constantly learning with it. It's one of those things that you're constantly learning. I've got a good mentor here in Jacksonville that I always call, and he's been good. So that's something else too. Um, as you're getting out right now, get a mentor, network. I've only interviewed for one job since I retired. And that was the very first job at WyoTech. After that, it's all been networking. Okay. Everything's been networking. All my contracting was networking. So just get to know LinkedIn can be your best friend. You get out, introduce yourself to other veterans, see where they're working, see if that might be a good fit for you. Um, that's or if you go to that first job, if somebody leaves, always keep those connections. That's actually how I got to Jacksonville Sheriff's Office. The recruiter manager left, and then she had contacted me when that recruiter job opened up here. And so it's the networking is huge. And I know you guys talked about that, or you should have talked about it. The networking is a huge piece of this. And other veterans, look, I wish I could hire nothing but veterans all the time because it's just for one, I know the mindset. I know it's already, especially in the military, coming into sheriff's office. It's such an easy transition to come through. The workouts, the being by that person that you can count on. The morning roll call is just like that. After PT, you come in and you're in the squad bay, you're in your office. That kind of camaraderie, whether you're talking about what happened over the weekend or what's ever going on in the community, it's that same thing. And when I go to the roll calls and I have to do my biannual, what we do is show where we're at with the sheriff's office. I go out in the field and I show them, hey, this is how many officers we're down. This is what we're looking for. And by the way, you get a big a referral bonus if you refer people that we hire. So we do that twice a year. And I just see that how close the officers are in the districts when I go out. Yeah, Chris.
Yeah, I have a question that's been kind of on my mind. We have I'm down here in Crestview, Florida, near Eglin Air Force Base,
Yeah,
Fort Walton Beach, Destin area.
absolutely.
And I went to a hiring fair, and the police departments were out there, and they were looking to bring on some more officers as well.
Yep.
How would you compare the police academy from a physical standpoint? Because here I am, I'm 39. Body's not what it used to be.
Nope.
Is it something that you feel like somebody that even after they retire from the military after 20 years of service and had to do all these ruck
Yep.
marches and stuff like that could jump in and potentially still fare well in the police academy? How's that
Yeah.
work?
Well, I do. As a matter of fact, next month, the oldest person that I've had recruited into the sheriff's office was a 55-year-old retired Army guy. Okay. He went in, he did very well. He was in decent shape. You're not going to run 6 miles. You're not going to run 5 miles or 3 miles. You're going to run the basic qualifications here for the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office. And you got to run a small obstacle course to be a police officer in 90 seconds. Most veterans or student athletes can do it anywhere from 45 to 75 seconds. But yeah, you get 90. The other thing you run 1 mile in 12 minutes. Okay. Yeah, that's the minimum requirements to start the process.
Are they not trying to catch anybody? I'm just kidding.
Well, I'll tell you what they do after that, they do more circuit training, short sprints, right? 20, 30, 40-yard sprints. And so that's where it's going to come in. And then after that, it's going to be strenuous, right? We're going to teach you how to box. We're going to teach you we're going to teach grappling techniques. You're also going to graduate a blue belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in your 6 months while you're at the academy. So a lot of circuit style training. at our academy. So it's not those long runs. It's very much sprint, very much circuit training, that high intensity training. That's what you'll go through at least at the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office. And yes, you can do it. I've had people not graduate, but it wasn't for physical reasons. Okay, they couldn't. It was just like, this is just going to be too much for me. 12-hour shifts, 5 days. 5 days on, 5 days off. For some reason, they weren't thinking about that when they started our application process. But the more they got into it, they realized it wasn't for them. But physical wise, our veterans and our student athletes do very well. It's very, very well at our police academy.
Yeah, I mean, 12 minutes or a mile is a brisk walk.
And that's what I tell Eric. That's funny you say that, because I was like, look, you can absolutely walk 1 mile in 12 minutes. So that's just the very beginning to keep your process going. We expect by the time the academy starts, we expect everybody, if you're struggling, which is unbelievable to me, because before the accident, I was running 6.5 minute miles, so about a 12 to 13 minute 2 mile. So saying you couldn't do it, saying you can't do it in 1 mile in that I don't know, just unheard of to me.
Not a good sign.
No, but it is. That's why as we started refocusing. I mean, we'll put anybody through our process, but we've kind of geared. I'm on a lot of college campuses, military bases. We do have a military recruiter that only focuses on military, Derek Halsey. He's our military guy. And I'll tell you, the veterans and student athletes we've kind of shifted our focus to that, but it doesn't mean we don't recruit everybody. We recruit everybody, but we see the success in student athletes and our veterans.
Les, one final question, then I'll shut up because I don't want to make this about me the whole time. But the police academy, you said 6 months is the time in the academy. I'm assuming you are getting paid during your time in the police academy. Is that correct? It's not like an internship, right, or anything like that.
No, great question, and thank you for bringing that up, because you do have academies out there that are unpaid that you got to pay for. Okay, and Jacksonville Sheriff's Office isn't like that. By the time when you start the academy here, you're an employee. And so right away, we start our officers out at $68,000 a year. So right away, you're earning that money plus your benefits day one at the academy.
That's big. Yeah,
that's a big deal.
Yeah, because a lot of places will watch you fall on your face rather than pay you.
Yeah, we've it's just, I think our sheriff, he's the one that got the big pay raise in place. He's the one that he changed, and when he came aboard 2 years ago, he made a lot of good changes within the agency. He's just a tremendous leader. And that's something else, is when you're getting out, it's hard to work for a weak civilian leader. And I've seen that a few times where I work and they can't make decisions, and they're afraid they want to be liked by everybody, or there's just something that, man, I wish that guy was a military guy. So it's going to be something that you won't see until you get in and get around the culture, but you'll be miserable if you got a weak leader, but you'll love it when you got somebody very strong.
Yeah, it's seeing that weak civilian wishy-washy leadership where it's like they're afraid to make somebody angry, and it's like, nah, dude, sometimes that's gotta happen.
Gotta do it. Yeah.
Yeah, not everybody can be happy. Tim, go ahead, sir.
Hey, Les, just wanted to ask, is it still a thing in Florida where they do, say, like a modified academy for like Army MP, Navy MAs, things like that, if you pass that modified academy instead of going through the full-fledged academy?
Yeah, if you come, yeah, absolutely. So we got some MOSs out there that's exactly what happens. It's a modified academy. Okay. And what's nice, if you're an Army, if you went through Fort Leonard, would you come out with actually your BLE certificate from Missouri? So what we do with that, what you can do with that, we send it through, it's called EOT. Okay. And you go through you'll learn the civilian modified version. There's four critical trainings you go through. Once you go that, then you'll start in our orientation. So there's three things you do to become a police officer in Jacksonville. You go through our academy. Everybody has their academy where you become a basic law enforcement certificate, and that's 6 months. That's Florida. And then you start your orientation. That's 17 weeks of how to stay a police officer or be a police officer in Jacksonville for the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office. And then you go in through, or 12 weeks orientation, and then 17 weeks of field training. So about 54 weeks of training before you even on the street alone. At the sheriff's office here in Jacksonville, you never go anywhere alone. You'll get your car, but you'll go to calls with your mentor or somebody else, the guy you sign you with, an experienced officer. Now you can skip that 6 months if you have a certain MOS in the military, and have that certificate. That's very true, Tim. Thank you for bringing that up.
Hey, so you mentioned something a couple of times now about, the civilian misunderstanding. So from the employer side, what's the big things you see companies often misunderstand about service members? Like you mentioned, hey, that recruiter's not going to be able to do it out here, when it's like, not going to do that standing on my head, dude.
Yeah, so most people, as you're seeing recruiting efforts are done, they have this perception of veterans that it's almost like they're going to do what they say. They're going to do what we say. They're just robotic. And what they don't think is most military members are free thinkers, right? We're thinking of ways to get the job done, maybe more proficient than what you ever thought. Okay. But we're not just going to come in and be robotic. And now we're going to follow orders. We're going to do everything we're supposed to do as employees. But we're also going to look for ways to modify whatever we're doing to make it easier and better. And that's going to benefit the company. So there's an absolute mindset out there that we're just robotic, right? I remember during COVID when I was having a conversation, and look, I'll just be I was 100% against the vaccine. That's just who I am. I didn't want it. And this campus president, when I was working for when I was contracting with him, he said, "Well, you guys got shots, and anyway, so why do you care? This is just another shot." I was like, "What do you mean? Why should I not care? Of course I'm going to care. You're injecting me with something that I don't think I need. I'm healthy." Yeah. So it's that mindset that you can just do anything or say anything to us, that we're just going to, go with it, when it's not that at all. So we got to show that we're free thinkers, right? That we're going to be a really good addition to the team. We are very much we're team focused, but we're also, we're not just also just going to lay down either. We're going to tell you, and to be truthful, that's why you need a strong manager, a strong leader, because we're sometimes, not all the time, but veterans, we're pretty vocal, right? When we see something wrong, we're going to say, "Hey, this is wrong," or "Hey," and some of us even say, "Well, that's kind of stupid," and so you got to have a strong leader that understands us, and we're not criticizing you, we're not criticizing the company, but I think I can make this process better if you just give me 5 minutes. And sometimes you have a strong leader that will go, "Let's hear about it." And then sometimes you got, "Hey, we've been doing this all along, it's working, don't upset the apple cart." So it's just getting them out of that mindset that we're just not that, not that robotic person that you think that's typecast in a movie. We're actually very good thinkers, where we can think fast a lot of times. We can also, we've been put through a lot of different scenarios, and so we can think pretty fast, and that's what makes us good project managers. But I'd also say, make sure you go out there and get that certificate, because we worked. I have a lot of veterans that you see, they say they were project managers, and we work on a lot of different things in the military, but they've never went and got that certain certificate.
So, I mean, to you, how is it, if a lot of them are looking at us like, the robots on TV that go, "Sir, yes, sir," and then,
Right.
go and destroy whatever. I mean, how do you overcome that falsehood before you even get, face to face with somebody? Have you seen kind of
During
hey,
the
that's
interview?
a good indicator?
Yeah, during the interview, right? During the interview, you're showing off that you're a lot, you have a lot more to bring to the table than that. Yes, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, ma'am attitude. That we can, we're just not gonna, well, of course we're gonna follow whatever they ask. That's the one thing. But we're also gonna bring more to the table than just, "Hey, an example is, I can make it better if you just give me a minute." Or, "Have you ever thought of it this way?" Okay, it's just, I think it's, yeah, that's a good picture. It is
That's exactly what I was getting at.
right. And you wouldn't believe that's a lot of the mindset that I've seen. And I've also heard people say, I had one manager at another school I was contracted with, that he wouldn't hire a brand new veteran, people right out of the military, because the truth of this is we have a very bad habit of only staying on the job for 6 months and then leaving for somewhere else. That's a stat. That's a Department of Labor stat that maybe it's fair. So it's a very fair thing, because it's a fact. So we got to, land them somewhere, convince them that, hey, we're going to stay here. We want to grow with the company, but not just stay there in blind loyalty. We want to really get in and make a difference of where we're at. I remember, I'll get with you right here, right after this, Chris. I was, as we're told as we go in the military, don't volunteer for anything, right? Remember that? I don't know if that was like when I came in.
Like bowling.
I volunteered for everything, right? I went against it. I volunteered for everything. But that led me to a lot of great things, and so I did the same thing in my company. I do it now. If the boss needs something, I'll knock it out. Why I do it here is because I'm the most experienced recruiter, and I get things done a lot faster than the people. And I'm, here again, it's like the sheriff's office, like military. They just want things done fast. So if I can put it on my plate, and if I got enough bandwidth for it, I'll do it. But it's like that too. And when you get out, when you get that first job, learn everything, man. Just learn about it, volunteer for it, just different things. So that expands your experience, just like you did in the military, how you're experienced, whether you liked it or not, that experience while you're in really broadens you as a person. Same thing in corporate, or same thing in any company you work for. Take on different things, even if you're not familiar with it. Take it on, learn about it, and then make it yours. Hey, Chris, you had a question?
Yes, sir. I know that you're a recruiting officer for Jacksonville specifically, but
Yeah.
Are you linked up with other recruiting officers in the state of Florida? Like, do you know anyone in Crestview, Fort Walton area? Like, I don't know how far, you guys kind of branch out to help each other with, potential candidates. I just didn't know if you had any
Yeah.
connections.
I'm going out to West Florida, the Panhandle, for the first time this spring when I visit the University of West Florida and military bases. So I haven't met anybody out there yet. I'm usually in South Florida, visiting like the Tampa, South Florida area, Boca, Miami, in those regions right now, and of course, University of Central Florida, that's all that. So I've been south. I haven't been west. I'll be over there. So I don't know anybody over there yet, but I will. Like we network with everybody. Mickey.
Hey, how you doing? Yeah, so I'm actually in Orlando as well, and I've got a couple of buddies that are cops. I'm not looking to be an actual officer, but I know that some departments, based on how large they are, have civilian intel positions for them,
Oh,
and
yeah.
depending on how big they are, some are usually staffed by detectives, or they can have those positions. Do you know if there's anything like that in the Florida area that they would have a civilian intel position?
Yes, we do. It's not open now, but the areas you're going to want to look for, you're going to want look in the Real Crime Center, Real-Time
Okay.
Crime Center. That's civilians. Public Safety Analyst. That's civilian. Okay. Fusion Unit. That's civilian. Those three areas are all civilians. Right now, we're transitioning our crime scene technicians from officers to civilians. So by um, by March 2nd, I'll have to hire 40. I have to replace 40 officers who are going to go back to the field with 40 civilians for that role. And so looking for a bunch of crime scene technicians right now. And those analyst positions are very, very, very good. They're paid real well. So be looking for, is that your background, is Army intel or military intel?
Not Army. I was in the Navy for 8 years. I did a lot of intel, like pretty much every version of intel you could do. The Army, I'm a fort observer.
Yeah, so you're exactly who they want, right? So what you would do is when you see that Real Crime Time Center, that Fusion Unit, I think you do very well in the Fusion Unit with your background, or public safety analyst, either one of those three. Okay, apply for those. And we interview every veteran that applies. So I think most agencies do that.
Okay. And just to confirm, you said that the three were real crimes, fusion, and public safety analyst?
Yep, that's it.
Okay.
That's ours, and I think every department, every sheriff's department will at least have a version of that.
Okay. Awesome. I appreciate it.
Bet. Yeah, that's looking at sheriff's departments across the country, no matter where you're at, there's a deficit of 30,000 police officers. Now, with that, with JSO, for example, we're the 11th largest sheriff's department in the country.
Wow.
We have 2,500 sworn officers, but we also have 1,500 civilians that back up those officers in support roles like HR, like intel, like crime scene. So you could look at every sheriff's department or police department. They're going to have civilian roles, and they're also going to have sworn roles. Sworn roles are your police officer that you see on the street, your corrections officers that's carrying custody of inmates, and judicial officers, that's your security in the courtroom. But other than that, if you're like, I'd rather go into the civilian side, there are civilian jobs in every agency. But I would tell you, if you want to wear the uniform, but you don't want to be on the streets, and this is more for retirees that love this role, this is judicial officers, that's security in the courtroom. The benefit is I'll get to that in a second, but you go through the police academy, you become a sworn officer. So you go through all the training of the sworn officer, but instead of going out in the streets and chasing bad guys, you're in the courtroom. And so you're making the courtroom function. The great thing about this role is 7:30 to 3:30, Monday through Friday. No weekends, no holidays, no overtime. You're just in that courtroom. And the pay, I think we're paying them 50 grand a year starting pay. And so for the hours you work and for the, what you do in there, that's a pretty good role, especially for a retiree, just if you just want to get in, get your police work. I've talked to a lot of retirees. They want to become police officer, but maybe their wife's like, hey, you've been on too many deployments. You've been in danger too much. So I'd rather, if you did get in more of a safe role, this is that perfect position.
That's the kind of thing that's all over the country too. I'd never even given that a second thought, right?
Yeah. Everybody has a judicial officer where they name it one way or another. It's not a bailiff, by the way. It's not a bailiff. This is security in the courtroom, and it's so cool because there's three in Jackson in the sheriff's office here. You got 3 judicial officers in every courtroom, and everybody has a function. The coordinator in the center of the room, he's coordinating with the lawyer and the inmate before they see the judge. Where on the right or left, you'll see another desk, and that judicial officer, he's making sure the right inmate comes in to talk to the right lawyer before they go to the judge. And then third, you got the guy that is security, and he's out by the public area where you can come in and watch any trial. Well, he's sitting there to make sure nobody gets squirrely. Then he can remove them. Or if somebody needs to talk to the judge on behalf of an inmate, he makes sure that they arrange that. So it's for 7 to 3:30 Monday through Friday. I think it's a great job for a retiree.
Yeah, a few extra bucks, probably not too much stress.
No, man.
No weather.
Yeah, you're not out in the weather. You're in there. You work when the judge works. It is no weekends, no holidays. No city government likes paying overtime, so they'll bring in somebody else for that day if a trial. And the truth is, only 3% of anything goes to trial. So the chances of you staying late for a trial are, pretty low.
It's pretty low. Holy shit. So, I mean, is there any other positions like that we probably wouldn't have thought of? Are you like, yo, military folks, you should probably eyeball this? Because I didn't think about that.
Yeah, I like the other role. I like we talked about earlier, intel. Any of those civilian positions are really good. If you have a mechanical background, right? If you're diesel mechanic, auto mechanic, anything, we hired those roles too. Welders. That was the first role that I filled was a welder here at the sheriff's office last year when I first came aboard. So there's always those roles available. I have there's a position that I think would be perfect for a veteran. It's called a vehicle coordinator. And everybody has these roles, by the way. You can look for these kind of roles in every sheriff's department because everybody has equipment that needs fixed. Everybody has equipment that needs tracked. And it's like that service manager in that they pull up to and they take your name down and they assign you a mechanic and that service manager when you go into a dealership. This is the vehicle coordinator position at the sheriff's office. So they'll get that officer to bring his car in to make sure all the maintenance gets done on it for that year, or say a generator needs fixed, or say whatever. They keep track of all equipment. So then they can take it to the maintenance unit and get it fixed and get that car back or that piece of equipment back to whatever unit that needs it, whether it's the big van, that diesel operation van that SWAT has, or gang task force, all their cars, all their undercover cars, or whatever it is. They coordinate when that piece of equipment needs to be maintained. The coordinator reach out, hey, bring it in. We'll get right back to you real quick. And so, unfortunately, what we've done here at the sheriff's office is we've either hired somebody with too much mechanical background, and so they want to do all the maintenance, or we've hired somebody too much on the administrative side. So our last hire, we finally got it right. The guy was a little bit of both. He could go out, start the car, up the tires, and then get it over to the bay, if it's set or it's sitting there. So it's one of those roles where you have to be very organized, that you're working with the commanders and the chief, making sure everything stays up and running.
Yeah, you're looking for the guy who knows how the vehicles work, but doesn't want to rebuild the engines every time the spark plug needs to be done.
That's right. That's
AJ, go ahead, man.
Hey, can you hear me? Did I get
Gotcha.
it right? Okay, cool.
Yes,
Good morning, Les. I have a background in explosive ordnance disposal, so bomb squad.
Yeah.
Are there any fast tracks to military members who would have those qualifications for specialized units to kind of get to those units much faster than a traditional officer would?
Well, in some, yes, right. In some roles, yes. Like, say you're in bomb squad, that's what you're in one of those fields where they like hiring. I mean, you're only going to get that experience in the military and in the police department. So you come in, you'd come in as a police officer. That's one of those roles that you're not going to hire somebody off the street to come in and be EOD. You're going to have to come in and be a police officer. You've got to understand the law and get your BLE certificate, get on the street for a couple of years, make sure you understand law enforcement before they'll put you on that unit. So you have to get in and spend 1 to 2 years on the street. And then when that unit opens up, you can apply for it. Now, again, just like everything else, when I talk about networking, inside sheriff's departments, inside police departments, it's networking. Like our sheriff will allow you, say you work at JSL, he will allow you to go train with that his EOD unit for 3 days a month. So if you're out there training with them for 3 days a month, when that job comes available,
you're in good shape.
They're going to know you, right? So it's a good way to network within the agency. They already see your training. They already see you. They already know about you. And if you've made a good impression on them, if you've made, they know that you know what you're doing. It's a good opportunity to build your network within the agency.
Well, especially if you can go in there and teach them something that maybe you picked up that they haven't seen. Like, hey,
Absolutely.
IEDs are a whole different world.
Yeah. And that's, whatever we've seen overseas, it's bound to be here sooner or later.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially with good cellular networks.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Good point. Yeah. So it's like I said, this is such a great transition for military members, no matter what your job is. You just roll in and you can just adapt and belong to the teams a lot faster than the civilian equivalent.
In the community too. I mean, you're going to fit right in a big hurry because you're out there all day. So you're going to know you're home.
Yes.
That's good stuff. So my last one, I mean, if you could share a piece of advice, what would it be?
Yeah. So one of the biggest mistakes that we make is when I'm interviewing you, and I've interviewed a lot of veterans because I had a team of nothing but veterans. And so I was like, hey, what do you know about my company? What do you know about us? And the worst answer you could give me is, well, I thought you could tell me. I don't care. It knows something about it. Hey, I know your organization started in 1985. You've grown to a multi-million-dollar company over that period of time. At least say that. At least all you got to do is go to the website, about, click on about, and then remember maybe that first couple sentences. If you haven't invested just a couple minutes learning about my company, there's just absolutely no reason why I will even hire you. Okay. Invest a few minutes just to get to know who I am. The other thing is, at the end of the interview, they're going to say, hey, you got questions for us?
You better.
And then a mistake we all make is like, well, no, you've answered them all. And then you abruptly in the interview say, have 2 questions. Just have 2 questions. Okay. Just random, it could be random questions about anything about the job. Have at least 1 or 2 questions ready for them at the end of the interview. Again, that shows that you've listened. And you can write these questions down during the interview. Let me back up too. That is one of the best things to do because they're going to be taking notes. Every interview, every hiring manager is going to be taking notes during the interview. And then what you can do, you can take out your book and go, do you mind if I write some notes down as the interview goes? And at that point, you can write down, hey, here's a couple questions I'll save to the end, right? Wherever they say something. Take notes during the interview. And something that's been lost over time is sending that thank you note. That is very few people do that now. So when I get a thank you email, or I've had a couple people even write a card, which is very odd in today's world. But that thank you, that's that follow-up. It's a touch point, right? I touched that manager again. And you can say, can I get your email address so I can send you a thank you? You can say that at the end too, to extend the interview just a minute. I'd like to send you a thank you. Can I get your email? And most people will give you an interview or give you give you their email right then. Or if they don't, maybe they'll send it. You can contact the the HR person. But just that's another touch point. Hey, Chris.
Hey, another question. You may not be able to answer this because I don't want to put you in a situation where you're diamond out secrets. But
Here we go.
But my question is, you know how like when you're like say recruiters in the military have certain quotas they have to meet. Is there anything that is like that for like violations, like writing tickets and things like that? Is there this expectation that you should be having a certain amount of tickets a month, or like if you're doing, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or is every situation kind of treated independently where you might not always jump to that situation? You might be like, hey, I understand the situation you're going through, maybe just slow it down just a little bit. Like what's that kind of dynamic, or is there any pressure to write tickets as an officer? I know it sounds like a petty question, but I'm just curious.
No, it's a great question actually, because it was something that I'd heard about. But no, we're just too busy here in Jacksonville. You're talking about a city of 1 million people. That our traffic is just way too busy with just different things happening. Our police officers are just way too busy with what's going on around the city than to stop somebody. And it's 100% their discretion, okay, to stop. And the interstates that are running through Jacksonville, 10 and 95, that's maintained by the Highway Patrol, Florida Highway Patrol. Now the sheriff's office can pull you over for speeding or reckless driving, but it's the Highway Patrol that mans those usually. I would tell you that I haven't heard of any quotas. I know, and I know that when I was my first day at Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, I got pulled over by a motorcycle police officer, and I thought, oh shit, they're just this is the initiation, right?
Hazing.
And so what happened was, I didn't put my 2025 tag on the back plate. I bought it, I had it, and he told me that. He's like, I see you got it, I see you got insurance, but. And I said, well, it should be back there on the plate. I know I bought it. He said, well, I can assure you it's not. He said, just find it and put it on. And then he let me go. But it's the most of discretion. If you're not being a jerk, officers, they're going to let you go. Just follow whatever they're asking you to do, and they're going to let you go. We got the more I'm around our police officers, the more I find out they're just great dudes, and, great officers that just want to get on with their day, but they want to make sure that the person they're talking to at the time is one safe, not not drunk or high or anything, and they're operating that vehicle as they should.
Yeah,
So
unless you're going 120 through a school zone, then the conversation is a little different.
That's going to be a lot different.
Yeah.
Hey, Olivia.
Hey, Olivia, go ahead.
Hey, sir. Thank you for coming to talk to us today. I had a question to you about how you advertise shifts. My brother-in-law recently became an officer in the state of Arizona, and he applied for a night shift role, and he will always be on night shift. And that's something coming from the military, like shifts change. We try to switch every 4 months so that people could see daylight every once in a while. But how does that typically work as far as your advertising as a recruiter?
Well, when you apply, you're going to be put on that first year. You're going to be needs of the sheriff's department. But if you want to, but after that first year, after that probationary period, if you see a day shift in, say you're in District 5, if you see a day shift in District 6 or 2 or 3, you can apply and go over there. The one thing that Sheriff Waters really, what he almost mandates is that he wants everybody to be comfortable in where they're at with JSO. That's why, what we said earlier about, training with the unit you want to be with. So if there's an opening for a day shift in another district, apply for it. And if we can, and if that unit can still maintain the level of service, then they're going to let you go over there. So
That's pretty much like you're applying to that shift and it's going to stay that shift until you change it.
Or yeah, you've got to change it to request, or you can stay in District 5 or District 4. Say you're in District 5, and if there's a day shift that comes open, you can apply to it, talk to the commander about it, and then go down to that day shift. But we don't shift after 4 months. What you're working on is where you're at.
Yeah, because I mean, you're dealing with kind of a different city, different shifts and stuff. You're on the dog watch, you're dealing with a very different city than you are during the day shift.
Yeah, that is true. It's and some people love nights, some people love days, and they don't want anybody to mess with it. So it's we do and it's several different times. So we do like a 5 to 5, then it's a 6:30 to 6:30, 8. I think it's 9:30 to 9:30. Then at the 6:30 p.m. goes to 6:30 the next morning.
Hey, Joel, go ahead.
Hey, good morning, Les.
Morning.
Quick question. I know you kind of touched on the PRT, the PT factor of being part of the JSO.
Yeah.
Is there a limitation or a cutoff for a veteran that is, let's say they're 100% disabled and they want to apply? Is there a cutoff to where they can't, or are they still good?
No, you're still good. You just go through our process, and wherever, if you get through it, then hey, that's really good that you got through it. When you go to that medical exam, it's more like a sports physical. If you're hitting all our requirements, then you'll get through the program. You just got to go through that 11-step hiring process and see if you don't make it through, then they'll tell you why, and maybe there's a time to come back. But it's physical wise, they just don't. If you're 100% now, if you're 100% disabled and you got the do not work, then I wouldn't apply. But if you got the 100% and can work, then go ahead and apply, and then see where that takes you.
Copy. Thank you.
Cool. Rob, last one. Go ahead. Rob. Hey, Rob. Rob Full, you got your hand up. See you blinking. Oh, the mute's not working. So, hey, Les, it's been great having you here, brother. Oh, you ready, Rob? Oh, okay. I saw it come off. Well, hey,
I don't know why that's a fat finger. Sorry.
Smash button.
Yeah, I'd just like to wrap it up. If anybody wants to connect with me on LinkedIn, I'm always available. Love helping veterans find their new roles. You can definitely connect. I'll always accept. I do have a lot of connections out there, a lot of recruiters, a lot of agencies, a lot of different organizations that I've been able to connect with throughout my time. I think I first joined LinkedIn in 2008. Whenever they first started, I jumped in early. So anything I can do to help you land that job, reach out and I'll help you connect with somebody the best I can.
This is awesome. Hey, Les Davis, Jacksonville Sheriff's Department. Thank you very much for spending an hour with us, dropping some wisdom and sharing some cool stories, man. I really appreciate it.
Hey, no problem. Thank you for the invite.